Let's look at the case for English. At Key Stage 4 in English, I'm going to assume that MO teaches 8 periods of Year 11 in the A half of the school population. I'm also going to assume that LH also teaches 8 periods of Year 11 English, but this time in the 11B half of the school population. The combing chart now illustrates that whilst 4 of the periods out of 8 are taught together and scheduled at the same time, the remaining 4 periods appear to be offset against another subject area, and in the case of English this is RE PSHCE. A similar situation exists for Year 10. Let's assume, for example, that MO teaches 6 periods of English in the 10A half. And let's also assume that LH teaches 6 periods in the 10B English half. Notice the difference this time. In Year 10, 2 periods out of the 6 are taught together as part of a large block with all Year 10 on together, whereas the remaining 4 periods are again offset against RE PSHCE, just as the case was for Year 11. Now this point is really important because there is consistency shown in the teaching teams. In both cases, MO is in the A half of the population, and in LH case, both year groups are in the B half of the population. And this, with post-16 classes, helps to give the timetabler greater flexibility when it comes to scheduling classes. Let's look at 12D English as a case in point. For 12D English, 8 periods need to be combed in. MO and LH could be the 2 teachers that make up that post-16 pair, and it's possible for them to work together because they are drawn from different halves of the year group population. MO from A, LH from B. And in this case, 12D English Let's use Year 12 English Language as an example, using 12D pool. 4 periods of 12D language can be entered as shown for MO. Similarly, the remaining 4 periods to make up the 8 required can be allocated to LH, because this teacher comes from a different Key Stage 4 half. And in this way, all the periods required for that particular English language class can be accommodated. All other year groups for English are entered in exactly the same way. Remember the principle for the post-16 pairings, and remember to strive for consistency between teaching teams in years 10 moving into year 11 as far as is feasibly possible. Year 9 in English is blocked, 10 classes, 5 in 9C half, 5 in 9T, but classes in year 7 and 8 are linear, and this is mean that those can be combed in much more flexibly, filling in spaces as the combing chart presents, because they are scheduled on a much more flexible basis. Looking at the example that was completed for last year's timetable construction, we can see that the timetable combing chart was completed in much the same way. It looks on this chart as if the top table represents week A and the bottom table represents week B. And whilst it is possible to design a combing chart in this way, it's not necessary. Just consider each period just to represent one possible teaching period in a complete 2-week cycle. So there's no need to split it between weeks. Keep all the class blocks together. We can see from this example, however, that in the case of 12D English language, MO has been drawn from the 11A half and the 10A population, whereas LH has been drawn from the 11B and the 10B half. So the principle of designing post-16 teaching pairs from opposing Key Stage 4 populations provides the greatest flexibility as far as is feasibly possible. You'll notice how the Year 9 classes are blocked together, but in some cases it may have been necessary for some classes to be split between 2 teaching members. Year 7 and 8 filling in appropriate and intervening spaces on the combing chart again illustrates the flexible nature of these subjects as linear subjects or linear classes. Once all the information has been entered, you can also see that the MET word has appeared for each year group, and a final message showing that all allocations have been met are shown. It also indicates in yellow that the department also had a number of periods to give once each class had been combed in. Any further advice or guidance, please come and find me, and then we can work together in order to produce the most effective combing chart possible for the new timetable cycle. Thank you.